This is how to create a graph from a data table in Microsoft Excel. The first thing you're going to need is to have a data table that consists of categorical and numerical data. Once you have that without any extra spaces or any extra columns, you don't want to have ever anything like this, where you're going to have an extra column or any extra rows. If you do have that, your graph will not look like you want it to. Sometimes it will even come up blank. So you're going to take only the data you want, not the headings, not the title, not any blanks, but only the data you want, and you're going to highlight it. You're then going to go up to Insert, and you're going to pick the chart or graph that you want. If you hit this little button in the corner, you'll get the whole list of types of charts and graphs. We're going to go with one of the more basic ones today, which is the column graph, side-by-side clustered. I'm going to click on it, hit OK, and suddenly you'll see that you already have a graph. If you take a closer look, you'll notice it's not a very good graph because it is missing a lot of the basic elements that we've discussed in class. We do see the bars, or the columns rather, and we do see two axes. We see the y-axis and the x-axis, and they indicate each of the types of data that we've seen in here, which are teams, the categorical, and number of votes, which is the numerical. Your first step is to go up to this area, which automatically starts glowing when you click on your graph. You'll notice if I click off my graph, it disappears. I click back on it, it comes back up. I go over here to Design, then over to Layout. Layout is where you're going to make all the basic changes to your graph. I have Chart Title. You get to choose one of the chart titles that you would like. You're going to learn this by playing around with it. I'm going to choose to put mine above the chart, and I'm going to give it a title that makes sense. In this case, I'm going to use Favorite Football Teams because that is what my data table is on. Then I'm going to move on to axis titles. I want to make sure I label them. Horizontal, I'm going to do that. Those categorical names are all the team names. And back up to axis titles for the vertical. And I happen to like this one. You can choose any one you like. Those are the number of votes. Then you're going to go over to Legend, and they are going to give you the option to have a legend, but right now it doesn't really make any sense. We have a Series 1 written over here in the corner, so I'm going to turn that off for now. We'll go back and discuss that again. Data labels, you have some choices to make. You can include these. It makes it easier for people to see where the column ends, but you don't have to. This is what it might look like, for instance. I could have the 7 over here instead of having to, some people feel like they have a hard time telling with their eyes exactly where that column falls. So you are welcome to do that, but you do not have to. Data table we're going to stay away from. Axes is where it allows you to either show the labels or don't show the labels. So if I look at the bottom where it says Steelers, Patriots, Giants, Colts, if I don't want to show those, I could have it look like that. At that point, I would need a legend because I wouldn't know what each of those bars stood for. But I'm going to go and keep mine up there. Grid lines, you can play around with how many lines you want in the background of your plot area, which is right here. Plot area, you can give it a special fill color if you would like, or you can go to more options and fill in differently. We don't need to do that now. I like to keep my background of the plot area either a basic white or a very, very light color, something like a yellow or a light pastel color. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to color all of my bars to make them look good. I want them to stand out. In this case, I'm going to give them all a different color. If I click on them once, you'll notice they all select. If I click on them twice, I can get each one to select separately. There we go. All of our colors looking good. Your next step is to take your graph and place it somewhere on your page where you're going to think it looks good. You're going to want to go to print preview much during this time so you can kind of look and see if you all have it all on one page. You can move your table over, you can add a picture, whatever you need to do, but you want to remember that the graph is the focal point of your assignment or your presentation, whatever you're using it for. And that's how you make a graph in Microsoft Excel.